Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's varsity girls basketball match. The FHN Lady Knights are playing off here against the Troy Trojans. My name is Emily Hood here with my co-announcer Parker Killen.
FHN's record is 16-6, which is just better than Troy's record of 15-7. Earlier this season, FHN beat Troy 62-56 and look to beat them again here as Jayla Tesley passes to Corinne Stevens to Hannah Wilson, who is blocked as the Trojans take over. Gabby Deller guarding, playing tight defense as Maddie Stock almost has a steal, but the back. As the Trojans turn it over to the Knights on a backcourt violation.
The Knights here missing one of their key players, Isabel Delarue, not here tonight. This game was rescheduled due to some inclement weather, some snow that happened here in St. Charles on Friday, so they rescheduled here towards Monday night. The Knights and the Trojans battling off for second place in the GAC South. If the Trojans pull out this win, they will currently be tied with the Knights in GAC conference play. If the Knights are able to pull out this win, then they will be up 2 wins against Troy.
Corinne Stevens with the steal, but the Trojans take it back. Great effort by Corinne Stevens, and as the post-up is no good, and Corinne Stevens with the rebound, passing to Tesley, who takes it up court, passes to Maddie Stock, who passes to Corinne Stevens with the jumper as she hits it. As the Knights are now up 2-0 with the first score of the game.
Senior Corinne Stevens, a big difference maker on this Knights team. This Knights team led by seniors. They have 7 seniors on this squad. Some great leadership. These girls have been playing together for 4 years, and it really shows in the way they've been able to gel this season.
As Jayla Tesley just fouled McKenna DeLue, as DeLue will go to the line and shoot 2 free throws. As DeLue misses her first attempt, and the first free throw attempt of the game for the Trojans.
McKenna DeClue, a big offensive player you'll see tonight for the Trojans. She is second in points for the Trojans. She averages 10.4 points per game, and she has 228 points on the season.
As Maddie Stock takes the ball up court as the Knights look to increase their lead. Corinne Stevens with the ball, passing to Gabby Delarue, who tries to get around and is fouled, or excuse me, that was a turnover, a travel on the Knights, and the Trojans will take over. Morgan Bova, who passes to her teammate Olivia Minire, as we have another turnover. A lot of turnovers in the first couple of minutes from both teams combined. As Janiah Tesley inbounds to Maddie Stock.
And those turnovers, Parker, are going to be a key part of these night. Both these teams are extremely competitive. FHN beat Troy earlier this season, 62-56, and they currently have a strong record against the Trojans for the past few years.
As Hannah Wilson draws the foul and the Trojans turn it over again. And that is right what you said about North and Troy. They are both very competitive teams, and they are also very evenly matched teams. FHN, whose record is just better than Troy's, as FHN has a record of 16-6 and Troy has a record of 15-7. As Morgan Bova, who passes to Cameron Menemeyer, who finishes with the basket. Maddie Stock taking the ball up court, looking to bring some offense as she passes to Gabby Deller, who has been playing a phenomenal season for the Knights, and who tried the jumper, almost has it, but didn't have all of it. As the ball is knocked down of bounds, and last touch by Troy, so the Knights will still have the ball. Emily, coming into this game, what would you say the Knights' biggest strengths are coming into this game, and what do they need to do to beat Troy?
Well, Parker, I think their strengths are, one, in their senior leadership, and two, in their ability to make plays offensively. Like I said earlier, those 7 seniors are a huge part of this team, and not only do they have those great seniors, they also have some great youth on their team in players such as Becca Brissett and Jayla Teasley, who is a freshman on this squad this year. This team is really capable of meshing together, and they work really well together on the court, and it's been evident in this great season that they've been having so far. The Knights also have a very strong offensive team, including Gabby Delarue. She's currently second in points on this team, averages 9.4 points per game. If the Trojans are looking to have their eyes on one player this game, it will be Gabby Delarue. Another great player on this team who is not here today, Isabel Delarue, her sister, also a huge part offensively for this team, so it'll be interesting to see how the Knights are able to make up for her loss and seeing some other players step up to fill that role offensively.
That's right, Emily, and like you said earlier, Isabel Deller not playing in the game, and with the talented young players the Knights have, Isabel Deller has definitely been one of them. She leads the team in points, and every time she gets the ball, she definitely makes a huge impact on offense. So the biggest struggle for the Knights tonight will not having her, but they've got a great bench and some other great starters, and if they can all mesh together, they can pull off a huge victory against Troy. As Olivia Menemeyer hit both free throws as the Trojans lead 5-2 against the Knights.
The Menemeyer sisters are lethal in this Trojans offense, definitely 2 of the biggest players for this Trojans team, and a great rebound there for Patty O'Leary as she's fouled.
Patty O'Leary, who is a senior this year, has been a spectacular backup center for Hannah Wilson, as she misses her first free throw attempt of the night. As the Trojans take over and take the ball up court. Morgan Bova with the ball, trying to get past Gabby Deller, passing to her teammate who is guarded by Stevens and Stock, and looks like we have a turnover, and the Knights will get the ball back and look to catch up to the Trojans. It's Tesley inbounding to Stock. Stock with the pass to Delarue, who gets the basket. Great teamwork from the Knights. As the Trojans are looking to increase their lead from more than 1 point. Gabby Delarue guarding, and Patty and Stock double teaming, but as Troy finishes and as the Trojans lead 7-4. Stock taking the ball up court. Stock with the pass to Corinne Stevens, who has been playing a really strong season this year and has been showing a lot of leadership for the Knights. As Gabby Deller almost has it, but didn't have the accuracy as the Trojans take over. As the pass is intercepted from Maddie Stock, and as the Knights are going up court, and we have a foul against Maddie Stock.
Short foul number 20, Maggie Illy. Her first team foul number 3.
Now subbing in for the Knights, Peyton Stevenson.
Number 12, Peyton Stevenson. And for Troy, number 3, McKenna Blue.
As Gabby Deller takes the inbound, passing to Janiah Tesley, who passes to Maddie Stock, who passes to Corinne Stevens, who passes to Peyton Stephenson, who almost has it but didn't have the accuracy, as the Trojans take over with the ball. And a deep pass to, as Morgan Shields didn't have all of it, as Maddie Stock takes over and passes to Janiah Tesley, who passes to Corinne Stevens, who attempts a long two and hits it. As the score is now looks like there was no score.
Coach Dawn Hahn here for the Knights protesting that call. That one called as a two-pointer. Corinne Stevens there over the line.
Looks like it was a two for Corinne Stevens. Great shot by Stevens, though, who has been playing phenomenal this season. As the score is now 7-6, and the Trojans look to increase their lead and look to make up for the game they recently lost against the Knights.
Once again, Cameron Medemeyer sinks that layup in at 6 foot tall. She is a huge part of the Trojans' offense. Very tough to stop because of her height. The Knights really make sure they need to be guarding her at all times, especially using somebody like Hannah Wilson or Patty O'Leary that also has the height to be able to try and block some of her shots. And a great steal there by Peyton Stevenson, and here come the Knights.
As Corinne Stevens looks to get around the Trojans defense, who passes to Maddie Stock. Maddie Stock with the ball. He passes back to Stevens to Peyton Stephenson. To Maddie Stock, who attempts a three and almost has it, but didn't have the strength, excuse me. As the Trojans take over on offense and attempt a three and as the ball is rebounded, but the Trojans didn't have all of it, and the Knights now take over on offense with Maddie Stock holding the ball. As the pass was almost intercepted but knocked out of bounds by the Trojans, and the Knights will still have the ball. As Troy is now making some substitutions.
Some discussion there from the ref as Maddie Stock prepares to send in that pass. Goes with the long pass to Gabby Delarue.
Delarue with the pass to Stephen as it's intercepted, and the Trojans take over, and as we have a foul from Peyton Stephenson on McKenna DeClue, excuse me. And DeClue will go to the line and shoot 2 free throws. That was actually an in. The Trojans will actually be inbounding. As it's passed to McKenna DeGluer, and a great block by the Knights. As the Trojans turn it over.
Big block there coming from Gabby Delarue, and she keeps without fouling there. The crowd getting really excited about that one. Our Spirit section dressed up in princess costumes here for tonight's match. Always great to see the student support come out to support this Lady Knights team with 20 seconds left in the first quarter.
As Gabby Deller, who passes to Janiah Tesley, who looking to get around the Trojans defense. He passes to Maddie Stock, as Stock with great speed and a great layup by Maddie Stock, as the score is now 9-8. And we have a foul, and as McKenna DeClue will be going to the line and shooting 3 free throws. As she makes her first free throw. McKenna DeClue, who is one of the youngest Trojans on this Troy varsity girls basketball team. She has been playing phenomenal with 10.4 points per game. As she makes all 3 free throws. As time runs out, and that will be the end of the first quarter. Emily, coming into the game, what did you see from both the Knights and Trojans?
Well, Parker, I think both teams came out with a lot of energy in this game. Obviously, they really want to win this match. This is a crucial one for their conference play for both teams. The Knights looking to extend their win, the Trojans looking to fight back. And I think the Knights came out with a lot of passion, but they also had some critical errors. They were having a lot of turnovers there, especially in the offensive zone, which can be really hard on a team to try and get some points scoring. A relatively low scoring first quarter here for the Knights. I think on the Trojan side, they did a really good job of running plays. They always tried to get the ball to Cameron Menemeyer at 6 foot tall. Very tough one to beat offensively. And I think if the Knights want to try and come back here in the second quarter, as they're only down by 4 points, not a huge deficit at all, they definitely need to focus on blocking Cameron Menemeyer and McKenna DeClue from being able to get some passes around their defense and score some points in this game.
That's right, Emily. It's been a defensive battle. Like you said, it's a low scoring first quarter. Both teams have been playing strong defenses in this game, which they have been throughout the season. They're both very evenly matched teams, and there's still a lot of basketball left to go. As the Trojans will be inbounding, as Morgan Bova will be handling the ball with being guarded by Gabby Delarue. As she passes to her teammate who attempts the 3 and didn't have all of it. Knights playing very aggressive defense. As the Trojans attempt another pass, and it's rebounded by Peyton Stephenson, who passes to Gabby Delarue, who takes the ball up court, passes to Peyton, who thought about taking a shot and does now, but didn't quite have the accuracy. And
a lot of fouls here coming from the Knights in this game. Patty O'Leary there with her first foul, and a couple of fouls here coming from other players like Gabby Delarue. Really tough on a team to try and build some momentum when you're constantly having such errors.
And Cameron Menemeyer will be going to the free throw line, attempting 2 free throws. One, excuse me, and as she misses, and it's rebounded by Mackenzie Pugh, who takes the ball up court, looking to get around the Trojans' defense and put some points on the board, as Gabby Delarue attempts a long 3 but doesn't have all of it, as the Trojans rebound and take the ball up court, looking to increase their lead. As the Trojans with a lot of passing and great speed from McKenna DeClue, but just wasn't able to get it through the hoop. As Mackenzie Pugh rebounds and passes to Gabby Delarue, looking to get around the Trojans' defense, as she overpassed it to Mackenzie Pugh, as the ball goes out of bounds and the Trojans will be taking over. A lot of turnovers in this game so far from both teams, as the Trojans take the ball back up court, looking to increase their lead. Maddie Stock playing a tight defense, as Olivia Menemeyer of the Trojans steps out of bounds and turns the ball over, and the Knights will be taking over on offense. As Mackenzie Pugh passes to Maddie Stock, who will take the ball up court and looks to decrease the Trojans' lead. Maddie Stock with the pass to Patty O'Leary, who passes to Hannah Wilson, but the ball is almost turned over there, but Gabby Delarue was able to keep it. As Delarue passes to O'Leary, who passes to Stock, who attempts a long 2, and it almost had all of it, but it just rolled out. As the Trojans take over and look to increase their lead, a 3-point attempt is good. A 3-pointer from Morgan Shields, and the score is now 15-8. Knights looking to decrease that lead, as Maddie Stock passes to Patty O'Leary, back to Stock, who thought about shooting a 3 but is fouled.
Trojan foul number 4, Brianna Wilson.
as the Knights will inbound.
4.
Emily, coming into the second quarter, what have you seen from the Knights that's been different this quarter from first quarter?
Well, I think the Knights are trying to get something going offensively. I've noticed they've tried to get passes to a lot of different players, but I think they almost seem a little bit shaky after that first quarter, which is tough on a team, especially having so many turnovers, especially in passing, trying to make some long passes and just not being able to be very accurate with them. But I think the Knights are not down by a huge lead. We've got plenty of game left to play with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the second quarter. There's plenty of time to work towards this game.
Throughout the game, there have been a lot of turnovers, and as we just saw, Nystock who overpasses to Corinne Stevens, and the Trojans take over on offense, looking to increase their lead. Knights playing a tight defense as Morgan Shields finishes with the basket. Maddie Stock taking the ball up court, looking to get around the Trojans defense and get some points. As she passes to Hannah Wilson, who attempts a jumper and gets it. As the score is now 19-10 with the Trojans leading by 9. As the Trojans take the ball back up court, and a great effort by Morgan Bova, who finishes with a layup. Stock taking the ball up court. As Stock thought about getting a layup, but passes to Corinne Stevens, who didn't quite have the accuracy, and the ball is taken over by the Trojans, who look to increase their lead. Morgan Shields with a three-pointer as the Trojans now lead by 14.
Lots of momentum gained here by the Trojans with 4 minutes, 10 seconds left in the second quarter. The Knights looking to get some back. Great shot there from Hannah Wilson. So Parker, the Knights have struggled a little bit here in this first half. Certainly going down by 12, not exactly the start that they wanted. How do you think Coach Hahn is trying to motivate her team and correct some of the errors they've made here in this first half?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, one of their biggest struggles is that they're missing one of their best players, Isabel Deller, who leads the team on offense, and they're also missing a couple other players, so the communication hasn't been the same as most games, so they just need to learn some communication and teamwork, and if they can mesh that all together, they could possibly make a strong comeback.
And teamwork, Parker, I think is going to be a huge thing in turning this game around. Obviously a very emotional game, and we've seen from the Knights before how much heart they put into each of this game, which is why they've made such a great basketball team. But with all that emotion and passion, there can sometimes be a little bit of frustration as well. So I think that if the Knights are able to just kind of take a breath, recenter, hopefully that timeout got them in a better place, and then they can now start to regain some offense, just like that shot there by Jayla Teasley.
Great play by Jayla Teasley, who makes a spectacular steal, showing some great speed as she finishes with a layup. Jania Tesley, who is a freshman, she's been showing a lot of promise for this Knights team, especially with the 7 seniors. And Corinne Stevens and Hannah Wilson playing tight defense as the Knights now get the ball back with Gabby Delarue inbounding to Jania Tesley, who made a great steal and basket earlier, as she looks to take the ball up court and bring some offense. Tesley who overpassed to Corinne Stevens as the ball now goes back to the Trojans. Trojans with a 10-point lead. Gabby Delarue guarding Morgan Bova, who passed to McKenna DeClue, who attempted a three but didn't have all of it as the ball was almost stealed by Corinne Stevens. As Morgan Bova recovers and finishes with a basket. as Janiah Tesley takes the ball up court, looking to decrease the lead for the Knights. Tesley with the pass to Stevens, looking to get around the Trojans defense. Tesley with the pass to Deller, who finishes strong. As the Knights are now down by 10.
A little bit of a lucky shot there by Corinne Stevens. That one blocked, but right into the hands of Gabby Delarue. And really plays like that will just help the Knights kind of refocus here. We have 2 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second quarter.
Morgan Shields, who shoots and gets the jumper, as the Knights now get the ball back, as Janiah Tesley, who has been getting a lot of action in this game so far, looks to decrease the lead as she passes to Mackenzie Pugh, as Gabby Delarue recovers and attempts a three and hits it. A strong three-pointer from Gabby Delarue. As the score is now 28-19. The Trojans looking to increase that lead as the ball was knocked out last touch by Hannah Wilson.
A great shot there by Gabby Delarue, and you really heard this gym just get excited after that three-point shot. The Knights have been playing well offensively. They've gotten some good plays going, but really it's a lot of defensive errors, I think, that have caused them some trouble here in this first half, really letting players like Morgan Bova and McKenna DeClue run all over the court, not being able to stop them and stop them from pushing towards the basket and able to get the two-point shots that they have.
As Hannah Wilson turns it over, and the Trojans will be taking over, looking to increase their 9-point lead. Morgan Bova, who passes to Morgan Shields as the ball is blocked and taken over by Hannah Wilson, who passes to Corinne Stevens, who looks to bring some offense as she passes to Gabby Deller, who attempts a long shot, and Hannah Wilson with a great rebound, who finishes with a strong layup. Hannah Wilson has been playing a great game so far, as we just saw her finish with the layup.
And with just under a minute here left in the first quarter, that's some classic Knights offense you've seen there. A great pass there to Gabby Delarue and some great rebounding, and a good job there by Hannah Wilson to be able to rebound and put that one away. Rebounds, not something we've seen a lot of this game in the offensive zone for the Knights, but something that would most definitely help them regain that lead.
As the ball was last touched by a Trojans player, as the Knights will remain in possession with the ball. Janiah Tesley will be inbounding as she passes to Gabby Delarue, who attempts a long three but didn't quite have the accuracy, as the ball is rebounded by Cameron Menemeyer, who used her height to her advantage. And Morgan Shields, who is wide open, is fouled on the layup attempt and will be going to the line to shoot 2 free throws.
Looked like Peyton Stevenson might have been trying to block that one. Got a little bit too much lead, but knocked over. Morgan Shields down will send her to the free throw line.
As Morgan just misses her first attempt. Morgan Shields, who is one of the youngest players on the Trojans, she's been playing a lot of minutes in this game so far, as she will be attempting her second free throw.
And Parker, like you said, the Trojans really do have a lot of depth on this team. Not only do they have strong senior leaders like Cameron Menemeyer, they also have really great underclassmen and a great shot by there from Gabby Delarue. Players like McKenna DeClue, who's a sophomore, and Morgan Shields are able to really help bring some depth to see a strong Trojans program for years to come.
As Morgan Shields, who we were just talking about, just finished up with a wide open layup as time runs out in the first half. So, Emily, coming into the first half, how has this game been different for the Knights and Trojans in the second quarter?
Well, Parker, I think we knew that this game was going to be an exciting one, with both these teams having such strong offensive and defensive talents, a great JAC South matchup. I think we were expecting some battles, definitely not as many of the turnovers that we saw, not only from the Knights but also from the Trojans as well. Lots of passing errors that really caused a lot of points for both teams. I think the Knights especially struggled to remain consistent throughout their game, but sort of got into a groove there towards the end of it. And I think both teams will be heading into the locker room looking for how they can not only improve this team, but also become more consistent so that they can make some baskets. And now, as we will head to halftime here on FHN Today Live, we will be back at 6:15. Excuse me. So once again, my name is Emily Hood, here with my co-announcer Parker Killian.
Sorry, I'm a bit slow.
and welcome back to this girls varsity volleyball matchup. 6 seconds left here in halftime. My name is Emily Hood, for those of you who are joining us here with my co-announcer Parker Killen, and the Knights are currently down 8 points here as they head into the third quarter, trailing 30-23 against the Troy Trojans.
In the first half, there were a lot of turnovers, which was the biggest struggle for the Knights. And the Trojans were able to take advantage of a lot of those turnovers and build a 7-point lead. As the Trojans start off with the ball with the pass to Cameron Menemeyer, who passes to her teammate, who passes to her other teammate as the pass is blocked, but it was last touched by the Knights, and the Trojans will keep possession of the ball.
The Knights have had a lot of success blocking here in this match. Big blocks coming from Hannah Wilson and also Peyton Stevenson. A key play there offensively, trying to save some points there for their team. And here comes Gabby Delarue stealing that ball for the Trojans.
Too strong on the layup. But the Knights will remain in possession with the ball because the ball was last touched by a Trojan. Maddie Stock with the inbound. It passes all the way to Gabby Deller, who has been having in a lot of action throughout this game. As she passes to Stock, who passes to Janiyah Tesley, who trying to get around the defense. Passes back to Stock, who looks for the layup and overshoots it as it's. Oh, it was rebounded by Maddie Stock, who puts it back in for the layup. As the score is now 30-25. The Knights looking to play some defense as McKenna DeClue finishes with a layup, and Janiyah Tesley will be taking the ball up court, looking to bring some offense. Tesley trying to get around a tight Trojan defense, along with Deller, who almost loses the ball but was able to regain possession as Coach Don Hahn calls a timeout. Emily, coming into the second half, what do you feel the Knights need to improve on to come back and knock off the Trojans?
Well, really, Parker, I think the Knights need to just start playing the ball that they've seen this entire season. They have some great offensive plays. They also are really great defensively, but they've been struggling to gain some consistency here throughout this match. Had a lot of defensive and offensive turnovers, lots of fouls in that first half that really kind of mess up any kind of momentum that they were trying to get. If they can just get in their rhythm, be able to take a breath, gain some momentum back, and get on some scoring runs here, they are right in this game as they only trail by 7.
That's right, Emily. We've seen the Knights win some really exciting games, and they're a really good team. They're missing one of their top players, Isabel Deller, but they've got all these other good players, such as Isabel's sister, Gabby, along with Hannah Wilson and Maddie Stock, and the 7 seniors who have been playing a phenomenal season for the Knights. They're having a great season. If they can build up some teamwork and communication, they could possibly pull off a great comeback. As Corinne Stevens with the jumper after the inbound from Maddie Stock. As the Knights are down by 5. 32-27 Trojans. As the Trojans look to increase their lead. Thought about shooting the 3 as Janiyah Tesley tried to make a steal, but we have a foul. And the Trojans will inbound. There was a lot of fouling in the first half. Hasn't been near as much this half. Knights still playing an aggressive defense. Stevens and Delarue. As Olivia Menemeyer tried to take a shot at the ball, is rebounded and taken over by the Knights as Corinne Stevens tried to pass to her fellow senior teammate Gabby Delarue, but the pass was intercepted. And a 3-point attempt from Rihanna Wenzel, which is good, as the Trojans now have a 7-point lead as Stock takes the ball up court, looking to decrease that 7-point lead and to hopefully make a comeback. As the Knights turn it over again. The Trojans back with the ball. as Morgan Bova takes the ball up court looking to get some offense for the Trojans as she passes to a wide open Cameron Minnemeyer, but the basket will not count due to a foul.
On foul, number 42, Hannah Wilson. Her third, team foul number 2.
That foul coming from Hannah Wilson, but she has really been hustling defensively here in this second half. She's put up some great guards against Cameron Medemeyer and has been able to stop a lot of the scoring runs that were plaguing the Knights there in the first half.
Emily, so I know we've just gotten to the second half, but how have things been different in this half so far compared to the first half?
Well, Parker, I think that the Trojans have done a good job of trying to run some different plays. They've also had a lot of different pace throughout this game. That's one thing that the Knights should possibly improve upon. Sometimes they are slowly taking the ball down the court, and sometimes they're hustling. And with the speed that this team has in players like McKenna DeClue, they are able to move the ball down the court, and also with Morgan Bova as well, able to get to the layup spot quickly, and the Knights can't always recover.
As Rihanna Wenzel hits a three-pointer and Olivia Menemeyer with the assist. As the lead is now 10. As Stock passes to Wilson, who passes to Stevens, who passes to Tesley, who finishes with a layup. Great teamwork and communication by the Knights there, as the freshman Janiyah Tesley finishing with a strong layup. As the Trojans are looking to increase their 8-point lead. The Knights again playing a tight defense. Morgan Bova, who tried to pass to Cameron Menemeyer, but it's turned over by Hannah Wilson, who passes to Stevens, who attempts the jumper and hits it.
And what a little move there by Stevens Parker. She really worked to get around the Trojans' defense. A great two-pointer. She's had a lot of success there from that spot.
As the Trojans get a backcourt violation and the Knights get the ball back. And like you said earlier, great play from Corinne Stevens. She's been having a phenomenal season with the Knights. She's been able to use her height to her advantage, and she's really been shining as a player and leader on the team for the Knights this season. As Gabby Delarue with the ball looking to bring some offense. Passes to Wilson, who passes to Stevens, who passes to Delarue, as Delarue finishes with the layup. As the Knights are now just down by 6.
And how about this hustle, Parker, that the Knights are putting into this third quarter? 3 minutes, 50 seconds left on the clock. They've been able to have a lot more success offensively as they are able to move the ball around and have a lot of options, not only in Gabby Delarue, but also players like Corinne Stevens, Hannah Wilson are able to move the ball around the court and ultimately have some success getting some balls into that net.
We just had a foul, and Morgan Bova will be inbounding as she inbounds to Olivia Menemeyer, who finishes with a layup. As the score is now 39-33. Maddie Stock taking ball up court, looking to decrease that lead, who passes to fellow senior Gabby Delarue, who is fouled and finishes with a strong layup. And she will go to the line and try and make a 3-point play.
What a great effort there by Delarue, and you can tell the Knights are just feeling so much more comfortable here in this half. You aren't seeing nearly as many turnovers, Parker, as we were talking about in the beginning. That basket almost there made by Gabby Delarue, but they're really finally getting into their groove and trying to win this match, a very crucial one here for both teams.
That's right, Emily. The Knights came in with a bit more fire than they did the first half, and if they can keep that fire inside of them, they could possibly develop some strong teamwork and communication. And they're only down by 4, which is not a very strong lead in basketball. So if they can catch up, then they could possibly pull off a very exciting victory.
Looks like there is some discussion here about the score of the game. The scoreboard here changing around, giving the Knights a 4-point lead. The referee having some discussion with the score table. And while we're waiting here, Parker, while the officials are discussing, let's talk about the energy that both teams have brought here in the second half, especially the Knights. How do you think this momentum shift has helped them to come back and come within potentially a 4-point lead?
Well, it's definitely given them a boost in confidence, and they've definitely been playing stronger offense in this half, which in the first half it was a struggle for the Knights, but they've found ways to communicate and to get that ball through the hoop, which if you want to, that's what you need if you want to have a good offense and pull off a victory.
Timeout, Troy Buchanan. 30-second timeout.
As we have a timeout.
So Parker, the Knights have a strong support here at home. Lots of parents coming out into the stands to come support, even with this rescheduled game, a little bit of a weird timing here. How do you think the support from all these parents and fans in the stands has really helped the Knights try to come back and gain some momentum in the second half?
Well, it's certainly brought a lot of energy for the Knights and confidence, and like we've said earlier, it's been a great season for the Knights. They've been showing a lot of communication and teamwork throughout the season. It's definitely been a huge strength, and with all these supporters, it just brings a lot of confidence to this Knights basketball team. And they were down by as much as they were down by at least 10 earlier in the game, but now they're only down by 4. And if they can play a strong defense and offense, then they can possibly pull off an exciting comeback, which we've been seeing which we've seen from the Knights throughout the season.
Team foul number 5 at the line for Troy, number 24.
As Mackenzie Codwell will be going to the line and shooting some free throws, as she misses her first attempt.
And for the Trojans, number 20, Maggie Illick.
As we have some substitution from the Trojans, as Codwell attempts her second free throw and hits it, as the score is now 40-35. Trojans playing a tight defense against the Knights, as Gabby Deller passes to Janiyah Tesley, who passes to Gabby Deller, who tried to make a jumper but overshoots it, and the Trojans get the ball back. As we have a foul, but the Trojans will still remain in possession of the ball.
Her second, team foul number 6.
As the ball is inbounded to Morgan Bova, who passes to Morgan Shields, who is fouled and will be attempting 2 free throws.
Number 23, Morgan Shields. And for the Knights, number 2, Mackenzie Pugh.
As the Knights make some substitutions, with Maddie Stock leaving to the bench and Mackenzie Pugh taking over. Morgan with her first shot attempt, which is no good, and rebounded by Gabby Delarue, who passes to Hannah Wilson as the ball is knocked out of bounds by the Trojans.
Corinne Stevens letting that ball go out as it bounced into the symbol of the basketball band. Made a funny little noise there.
And Mackenzie Pugh with the inbound, who passes to Corinne Stevens, who passes all the way back to Tesley, who looks to get around the defense and wasn't quite able to, as the Trojans turnover. Passing to a wide open Maggie Illig, but the basket will not count. As the Trojans turn it over back to the Knights with Mackenzie Pugh on the inbound. Passing to Gabby Delarue, back to Pugh as rough pass there, but Pugh was able to still remain in possession as she passes to Stevens, who passes to Deller, who gets up court, avoiding a backcourt violation, who passes to Hannah Wilson, who is fouled on the shot attempt and will be going to the line and attempting 2 free throws.
Troy Union foul number 22, Cameron Medemeyer. Her first, team foul number 3 at the line for the Knights, number 42, Hannah Wilson.
Hannah Wilson, a little bit of an unsung hero on this Knights team. She does a great job defensively in guarding some of those key players, just like Cameron Medemeyer here for the Troy Trojans. Senior on this team has really done a great job leading her team, keeping their energy positive, and even able to sink that free throw, bring the Knights within 4 with 2 minutes, 11 seconds left in the third quarter.
As the Trojans looking to get around the Knights defense and make a basket, as they attempted a layup but didn't quite have the accuracy, as Janiyah Tensley doing a lot of ball handling but was fouled and is able to keep possession of the ball. The Knights looking to decrease that 4-point lead and even take over on the lead. As Delarue passes to Stevens, who passes to Deller, who passes to Tesley, who tried to pass to Hannah Wilson, but it's picked up by Corinne Stevens, who gets the jumper as the Knights are now just down by 2.
And a huge effort here by the Knights going on a run here, puts them within 4 now of the Trojans. A really impressive play there by Corinne Stevens earlier on that basket. Almost seemed like she threw that ball almost over her shoulder and was even able to put that basket in. A great effort there from the Knights.
Morgan Shields trying to steal the inbound of Gabby Delarue, but knocked it out of bounds. As Delarue passes to Jayla Tesley, the Trojans playing some tight defense, trying to cause a backcourt violation as the ball is overpassed and hits the cymbals of the basketball band. And it's out of bounds, and the Trojans will get the ball back. So, Emily, how do you feel the Knights have been able to keep the game so close after losing by so much at the end of the first half?
Well, Parker, I really think the Knights have done a good job, once again, of just playing their game. I know I've said that a lot here in this first half, but it really feels like they've calmed down. They're putting some energy into that game, but also not making as many errors as they once were. They're able to get some more offensive plays, get some passes in the paint, down close by the basket, to be able to get two players like Hannah Wilson, who's able to put up the layups, and just simple, easy plays like that and those easy 2-point shots. Those add up and really have made a difference.
As the Trojans knock it out of bounds, and the Knights will regain possession. That's right, Emily. Like you've said, they haven't been making as many mistakes in this half as they did the first. They made a lot of turnovers in the first half, but in this second half, they came in with a lot of energy and have found ways to communicate on offense and to get that ball through the hoop. As Gabby Deller with a 3-point basket off the glass and into the hoop, as the Knights are now just down by only 1 point. And the Knights looking to tie the game and even take the lead. Trojans looking to increase that lead and not let the Knights take the lead. And a wide open 3-point shot attempt is good off the rim and glass, as the Trojans are now up by 4 points. Knights still looking to decrease that lead. One key strength in this half is that the Knights have been showing a lot of perseverance after being down by so much. They've shown that they will never give up, which they've shown a lot this season. They never quit. As we have an injury out of bounds with Gabby Deller. Looks like an ankle problem.
Gabby Delarue there clutching her ankle. Looks like she's in quite a bit of pain there.
That was a rough injury. Well, that was a rough injury on Gabby Deller out there.
Absolutely, Parker. It looks like she was trying to push through the Trojans' defense, push up, throw up a layup, and then got thrown to the side. Might have landed wrong on that left ankle there. With 3 seconds left here in the third quarter, a much closer game now. The Knights only trailing by 4 here in this half. How do you think, Parker, that both teams will be looking to improve and hopefully take the edge here in this fourth quarter?
Well, for the Knights, they need to learn to keep that communication and teamwork going, and being able to make those open shots and just keep scoring and playing strong defense. And for the Trojans, they need to keep that. The Trojans need to keep playing that aggressive defense they've been playing throughout the game, which the Knights also have, and the Trojans also need to communicate and use teamwork and get that ball through the hoop and increase their lead if they don't want the Knights to catch up. But lately it's been a really strong back and forth battle on offense from both teams, in which it started out Troy was dominating. And it looks like Gabby Delarue Gabby will be taking a break, trying to let her ankle heal up. She's been playing a really strong game for the Knights on defense and offense, and in the season as a whole. As the Trojans make a steal, but a double dribble called against the Trojans, and the Knights will get the ball back despite the turnover. And that's something the Knights need to avoid doing, which is turning over the ball. That was a problem for the Knights in the first half, but they've been pulling it together and communicating well. As Hannah Wilson finishes the third quarter with a strong jumper, as the Knights are only down by 2, which is not a huge lead at all in basketball.
A bit of a last-minute basket there, Parker. Great job by Hannah Wilson there to put that one up, pull her lead within 2. This game, of course, being very close within 2 points, and the Knights very strong in these kind of situations. In games that have been decided by less than 10 points, FHN is 8-2, which is good sign for them to be able to try and come back here in these close matches. Troy, still good here in these close matches, maybe not as quite. They are 4-3 in these close games.
As the coaches of both teams talking to their players and telling them what, for Troy, the coach is probably talking about what they need to do to increase that lead and keep the Knights from making a comeback. And with Coach Hahn, she was probably talking earlier about how the Knights need to retake the lead and pull off an amazing comeback. And Emily, going into the fourth quarter, what do the Knights need to improve on from the third quarter and first half and help themselves make a strong comeback?
Well, Parker, I don't think they need to improve on a ton. They had a really great third quarter, coming back from a pretty big deficit at halftime here to pull within 2. I think the Knights need to stay solid offensively, keep running the plays that they've been able to run to be able to get points towards players like Hannah Wilson, who stay down in the paint. I also think defensively they need to make sure that they don't take as many fouls. They're already at 7 fouls here for this game, and fouls can be a big issue, and big turnovers here for the Knights. If they're able to limit their fouls and continue all of the great work that they were doing in the third quarter, I don't see how they couldn't pull this one out.
We just had a jump ball earlier, and the Knights will be getting the ball with Maddie Stock on the inbound, passing to Janiyah Tesley, who, for a freshman, she's been playing some good basketball this season. She passes to Maddie Stock, who looks to get some offense and either tie or take the lead for the Knights, as she passes to Mackenzie Pugh, who passes to Corinne Stevens, who almost has the layup but didn't quite have the accuracy, as the Trojans take the ball up court with a pass to Menemeyer, who passes to her teammate who attempted a 3 but didn't have all of it and is fouled and gets the basket. And she would be going to the line trying to make a 3-point play and trying to make their 4-point lead into a 5-point lead.
Number 3, McKenna DeClue.
McKenna DeClue, who is a sophomore, she's been playing some big minutes for the Trojans, and she's been having a strong game as she misses her free throw attempt, and it's rebounded by Stevens, who passed to Stock, who passes to Wilson trying to get around Meyer as she does, and as the Trojans are only up by 2, there's still plenty of time for the Knights to catch up. As DeClue gets the layup and brings the lead back to 4. The Knights taking the ball up court, looking to get around the defense and try and decrease that lead. Stock with the ball, looking for a layup and gets it! Stock, who was able to get around the Trojans playing a very aggressive defense with the layup, bringing the lead back to 2. As a 3-point attempt that was, and a push off from Hannah Wilson to Cameron Menemeyer. So Emily, I know that the 4th quarter's just started, but so far how have things been different this quarter than from the 3rd quarter?
Well, Parker, I think that this quarter both teams are showing a lot of hustle here. It's such a close match, only down by 2 points. Both teams are really giving it their all. We've seen some more fouls here coming from both sides because both teams are just so desperately trying to win this match, a really crucial match. And I think both teams are really showing the heart and the emotion that they put into the sport. And it's really great to see how hard they've been working throughout this entire game.
As Janiyah Tesley tried to get around that defense and hit the layup, but didn't have all of it. As the Trojans look to increase their 2-point lead. Wilson playing defense, and as Janiyah Tesley knocks the ball out of bounds, and the Trojans will keep possession of the ball. As Patty O'Leary comes into the game for Hannah Wilson. Patty O'Leary, who has been great with rebounding and defense, she's been a really strong backup center for the Knights this season. As we have a jump ball, but the Trojans will keep possession of the ball. And some substitution from the Trojans. Morgan Bova with the inbound, passing to her teammate who looks for the jumper, but didn't have all of it, as it's rebounded by Gabby Delarue, who despite having the twisted ankle was able to come back into the game. As Maddie Stock attempting a 3 but didn't have all of it, as the Trojans look to increase their lead, but the ball was almost overpassed, but a great recovery from the Trojans and a pass for what looked like a wide open 3, as Patty O'Leary gets the rebound, passing to Maddie Stock, who looks to tie the game or possibly even take the lead for the Knights. There's still enough time with just under 5 minutes, as Gabby Delarue gets the ball, who tried to pass to Hannah Wilson, but the pass is intercepted by Cameron Menemeyer and turned over by the Trojans, who looking to increase that lead, and a wide open 3-point attempt, which is good, and the Trojans are now up by 5 points. And the Knights are going to have to really decrease that lead and take the lead in order to win. As Tesley passing to Gabby Deller, who looks to get around the Troys. Oh, as she, a very close 2 or 3-point attempt, but just wasn't quite able to get through the hoop. Bounced off the rim a couple times. And the Trojans will get the ball back and look to increase their 5-point lead. The score being 52 to 47, excuse me. Trojans taking the ball up court.
And Parker, both teams have had a pretty fast-paced couple of minutes. They're going back and forth between both teams, lots of steals. They're even coming off of a few blocks. And I think really both teams are needing to take a second to calm down, especially the Knights. The Trojans here getting a lot of success offensively, and the Knights need to be able to refocus. There's 3 minutes, 50 seconds left in this 4th quarter. Plenty of time to still come back.
And Maddie Stock with the pass to a wide open Patty O'Leary, who is fouled and will be going to the line and shooting some free throws.
Team foul number 5 on the line for the Knights. 0-0, Patty O'Leary.
As she attempts her first and hits it. giving the Trojans only a 6-point lead.
Huge play there from Patty O'Leary. The Knights really needed that one to get back in this game.
And makes her second. O'Leary making both free throws, which the Knights are only down by 4. And with 3 minutes and 41 seconds left and only being down by 4, the Knights still have time to make a comeback. The crowd getting very loud and excited, hoping the Knights can pull off a very exciting comeback. And a wide open three-pointer, which is no good and almost rebounded by Janai Tesley, but the Trojans keep the ball as Corinne Stevens fouls McKenna DeClue, who will be going to the free throw line and will try and increase the lead. The Trojans have. As she makes her first attempt, giving the Trojans a 6-point lead. And now a 7-point lead. The Trojans starting to take over as Gabby Deller taking the ball up court, trying to get around that Trojans defense. Attempted a shot, but it was blocked and stolen by the Trojans as they look to take the ball up court and increase their lead, but didn't have all the Deller trying to make the rebound, but wasn't quite able to. As one of the Trojans players stepped out of bounds, and the Knights will have the ball back and look to decrease that 7-point lead and make a comeback.
The Knights did a really good job there of not fouling. That was a bit of a scrambling play there in front of the basket, and I know that's been a tough area for them in terms of fouls, but they've been able to pull that one out and not take a foul on that. They already have 10 fouls here in this half, 2 minutes and 55 seconds left.
As Maddie Stock was just fouled and will be inbounding the ball as she passes to Gabby Deller, who's been playing a great game for the Knights. And, almost had the layup, but didn't quite have the strength on that attempt. As the ball is now...
Her third at the line to shoot 2, number 24, Mackenzie Caldwell.
Mackenzie Caldwell at the free throw line, trying to increase that lead and keep the Knights from making the comeback. As she now gives the Trojans an 8-point lead, 57-49. Hannah Wilson coming into the game for Peyton Stephenson, as she was unable to make both free throws, and as Stevens tried to make the rebound but knocks it out of bounds, and the Trojans will get the ball back and have a chance to even increase their lead even more. But if the Knights can play a strong defense, strong aggressive defense, they could possibly turn the ball over and decrease that lead.
The Trojans picking up their pace here, 2 minutes and 36 seconds left. McKenna DeClue hustling around that court, really been a player who's shown a lot of heart in this game. She has made a huge effort, constantly see her running around trying to get open, and really has made a difference, especially with the 3 points she's made some points from the free throw line. All around been a great player here tonight.
Morgan Vova, who passed to Maggie Hill, who passed to McKenna DeClue, who has had a lot of action in this game, as you've said earlier. Looking to get around that Knights defense, and as Maggie Illig trying to get around the Knights defense, as she is fouled. And the Knights are above the foul limit, so the Trojans will be going to the free throw line every time a player is fouled. As Coach Hahn calls the timeout, looking to discuss the Knights' goals for the rest of this game. So Emily, with there only being 2 minutes and 1 second left into the game, even though the Knights are down by 8, if the Knights can make a comeback, what do you think they have to do in order to make that comeback?
Well, Parker, I think to start off they need to stop taking so many fouls in the defensive zone. I appreciate the aggression, but I think the fouls, especially seeing as they've hit the foul limit for this time, need each time they send a Trojans player to the free throw line, that's just added points that they're going to have to overcome offensively. I also think they need to try and push through the Trojans defense and try to find some more people that are open. It seems like their passes sometimes are feeling a little rushed, they're getting a little anxious, but they still have 2 minutes left, which is plenty of time. Just being able to take some time, wait for the pass to get open, and the baskets will come.
Maggie Illy to the line, if attempting 2 free throws, as she is unable to make her first attempt. If she makes her second attempt, the Trojans will have a 9-point lead, and makes it, giving the Trojans a 9-point lead. Stevens with the inbound to Tesley, who takes the ball up court, looking to get some offense and passes to a wide open Hannah Wilson, who finishes with the layup. As the Trojans now only have a 7-point lead as they take the ball up court, and Morgan Bova, who is fouled and will be going to the line, shooting 2 free throws. As she misses her first attempt. As the Trojans make some substitutions. And Bova at the line, trying to make her second attempt, and misses it, and it's rebounded by Hannah Wilson, who passes to Corinne Stevens, who passes to Maddie Stock down court, who passes back to Wilson, who temporarily loses the ball, but is able to recover and give it to Stevens, who puts it in the basket, but it's knocked off as Coach Hahn looks to talk with the team and discuss what they need to do to make a comeback.
And I really liked the effort there, Parker, from Hannah Wilson. Even though she got knocked out of the ground, she was able to find that pass to Corinne Stevens, even though that ball didn't quite count for a goal. But the Knights here are within 7, 1 minute 33 left to go. Parker, what do you think the Knights need to do, and who do they need to feed offensively to be able to try and come back here in this fourth quarter?
Well, Gabby Delleru, Corinne Stevens, and Hannah Wilson, the 3 captains for the Knights, they've been showing a lot of offense throughout the game. All 3 of them are very tall, and they've been able to use their height to their advantage with rebounding and scoring inside. They've also shown some great ball handling skills, and for the Knights as a whole, if they want to make a comeback, they're going to have to show some really strong teamwork and communication, offensively and defensively. As the ball is inbounded to Gabby Delleru, who attempts the 3 and didn't have the accuracy. As the Trojans turn it over, a great defensive play from Gabby Delleru. As I was saying earlier, they're going to have to show some strong teamwork and communication defensively and offensively, which was a great defensive play by Gabby Delleru. As Maddie Stock with the ball, passing to Janiyah Tesley, who lost control of the ball as the ball is thrown out of bounds, and the Trojans will be, actually the Knights will be keeping possession of the ball. The ball was last touched by the Trojans. And Maddie Stock passes to Gabby Delleru, who tried a layup but didn't have all of it. And a pass to a wide open Morgan Bova, as it's denied by Corinne Stevens. Excellent block by Stevens, who was able to use her height to her advantage and make a great defensive play for the Knights.
For the Trojans, number 14, Kelsey Sox. Number 23, Morgan Shields.
I really appreciated that effort there, Parker, from Corinne Stevens. That long pass going there to Olivia Menemeyer looked like it could be dangerous for the Trojans in a time where the Knights really need some strong plays defensively. And Corinne Stevens hustled there to get that stop for the Knights.
Number 32, Maddie Stock, her fourth.
As Stock fouls the Trojans during a double team with Janiyah Tesley, and since the Knights were above the foul limit, the Trojans shoot free throws every time a player is fouled, as Kelsey Satchels hits her first free throw attempt, giving the Trojans an 8-point lead. As as she looks to give the Trojans 60 points on this second attempt, along with a 9-point lead, and is unable to come up with that free throw. And Stevens with another good rebound, but the ball was overpassed and thrown out of bounds. As Troy gets the ball back.
Timeout, Troy Buchanan. Full timeout.
As Troy calls a timeout. So Emily, in this fourth quarter, how have things been different from the third quarter, and with this half, how have things been different from the first half?
Well, Parker, I think that this half has had a lot of ups and downs here for both teams. I think we saw some moments when the Knights offense was really shining bright and really making a lot of baskets. They were able to come in within one of this team, and here with 56 seconds left, they currently trail by 8, and I think tonight has really been a game of consistency. Both teams have been fighting really hard to try and possibly tie for second in the GAC South, and I think that overall the Trojans so far have just been the more consistent team. They've avoided fouling nearly as much as the Knights have, and have also been able to have a lot of success offensively, be able to run some plays, get some balls to players like Caleb Medemeyer, who have ultimately made the difference here.
One of the biggest struggles for the Knights, as we mentioned earlier, they were missing one of their top players, Isabel Delarue. But even without her, the Knights, they've been persevering throughout this game, and their three captains, Gabby Delarue, Peyton Stevenson, and Hannah Wilson, have been playing great as well, along with freshman Janiyah Tesley, who is defending McKenna DeClue, as Maddie Stock fouls DeClue,
Number 32,
who will be shooting 2 free throws and look to give the Trojans at least 60 points and a 9 or 10-point lead. As Becca Brissett comes into the game for the Knights, taking over for Maddie Stock. Becca Brissett, who is one of the youngest players on the Knights team, she's been playing great as a backup. As DeClue missed her first attempt, keeping it an 8-point lead, as she looks to give the Trojans 60 points on a 9-point lead. And she gets it. With 43.5 seconds left, Gabby Diller taking the ball, looking to get around that Trojans defense with some good moves and a great effort, but didn't have all of it, but a great rebound though. But now the Trojans take over. Wilson with the foul on Morgan Shields. It's been a game of ups and downs for the Knights, where they had a lot of turnovers throughout the game, but they've also been creating a lot of turnovers. The rebounding's been great, and so has the aggressive defense and ball movement. As Morgan Shields missed her first free throw attempt. That's been a struggle for the Trojans throughout the game. They've been missing a lot of free throws, but they've still managed to keep a lead against the Knights, as the Trojans are now ahead by 10 with 26 seconds left. Stevens with the ball, looking to get around that Troy defense, and Stevens with the jumper and gets it. As Hahn calls a timeout, looking to have a talk with the team and give them some energy and pep talk.
And Parker, here as we have 17.8 seconds, the Knights trailing by 8. How do you think, if they were to try and come back, who do you think they would need to step up here for this team?
I feel they need to have their three captains, Hannah Wilson, Gabby Deller, and Corinne Stevens, step up, because they've been the three key players to this game for the Knights. They've been showing a lot of smarts, along with communication and scoring inside, and they've been doing a lot of good rebounding. So if anything, they need to be the players to step up and show how to play.
Definitely, Parker, and I think the Knights also need to try and push some more balls down close in the paint. pushing towards the basket as much as they can. When they've been able to get balls to Hannah Wilson, some of their strong centers, they've had a lot of offensive success. They need to make sure that they are able to restart that offensive, and they also need to stop taking so many fouls. Simply, there's been a lot of fouls here, especially in this last half. We have 3 players who've had to come off because they've had 5 fouls, very close to fouling out of the game, and simply they just need to become more consistent.
They also need to work on their three-pointers. They haven't had too many three-pointers in this game, and in basketball, three-pointers can really help your team. As the Trojans miss, as Kelsey Satches misses her first attempt and misses both free throws. The Trojans throughout this game, their biggest struggle has been free throws, but they've still managed to keep a lead against the Knights. As Janiyah Tesley is fouled and will be going to the free throw line, attempting 2 free throws and looking to decrease that lead with 10.2 seconds left. And misses her first attempt. Tesley, who has been playing strong this season as an underclassman, even though she's a freshman, she's been playing a lot of big minutes and really helping the Knights, as she just made her second free throw attempt.
And with 4 seconds left, Jayla Teasley stepping up in big ways for the Knights here as a freshman, as the Troy Trojans will run away with this one, 61-54. The Trojans did to help take away this game for the Knights, obviously having some strong centers in Cameron Menemeyer and McKenna DeCluse hustle as well.
Well, they had some really tall players and some really players were able to use their height to their advantage on defense and offense, and those speedy players were able to use their speed to their advantage as well and getting that ball through the hoop. They showed a lot of communication and teamwork, and the Knights, they were missing some players, and that kind of affected the Knights, but even though the Knights lost, they didn't quit. They persevered throughout the game and worked hard, but weren't quite able to pull off the victory.
Definitely, Parker. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight here with this girls varsity basketball match. We will be back once again here at 7:25 for the boys varsity basketball match, also facing Troy. Thank you all for joining us here on FHNtoday.com/live. Once again, my name is Emily Hood, joined by my co-announcer, Parker Killian. And welcome back for those of you who are joining us. Welcome to FHNtoday.com/live. We were just streaming here the girls varsity basketball game where they fell to the Troy Buchanan Trojans. And now here come the boys varsity basketball. Anthony Hopel here taking the jump for the Knights. The Knights have struggled a little bit this season. They are currently 3-17 on the season. Troy has a record of 6-16.
Anthony Hopple just won the toss-up, but turned it over, and the Trojans will be starting off with the ball. As Griffin St. Peter, who passes to Brendan Dieters, and Trojans trying to get around that Knights defense and scoring. Nolan Hudson playing defense. Cameron Lewis, and as the Trojans attempted to pass, but it's rebounded by Cameron Lewis, who has a lot of speed and is fouled while taking the ball up court.
The Knights are looking to have a bit of a comeback night tonight. They are 1-8 against Troy since the 2014-15 season, so they have not beat Troy since January 13th, 2015. A 4-year streak here for the Knights they are looking to break.
As Ben Oster passes to Miles Montgomery, who has been a huge factor in this Knights basketball team. And two players to look out for on the Knights would be him and Anthony Hopel, the two captains, because they both have shown a lot of leadership and strength on the team. As Hopel just passed to Hudson, who attempted three but didn't have all of it, as the Trojans attempted three and hit it. Griffin St. Pierre starting the game up with the three, as Hopel attempted a jumper but didn't quite have the accuracy, as the Trojans take over in a wide open pass and an attempt for a three, but accuracy wasn't there. As Miles Montgomery will be inbounding to Ben Oster. Emily, coming into this game, what do the Knights have to do to pull off a victory against this Troy Trojans basketball team?
Well, the Knights need to make sure to get something going offensively and get it going early. They need to be feeding into players like senior Anthony Hopel, leading in points, averaging 15.5 points per game. Also looking at Clinton Okalasangu, who is second in points, 8.8 points per game. If they are able to feed those two players, they'll sure to have a lot of success. Also trying to take some smart shots and smart passes, not just trying to fire the ball wherever they see is open, really working to have some strategies here in this game.
As Cameron Lewis, who just made a turnover early in the game, just made another one, and now the Knights are back on offense with Miles Montgomery, who's also another person to look out for, trying to bring some offense to the Knights as he passes to Anthony Hopel. He passes to Hudson, who shoots the jumper and almost has it, but it just bounces across the rim, and the Trojans rebound and take over, taking the ball up court, looking to drive some offense and increase their lead. And a wide open three-pointer, which is good. 2 threes for the Trojans already, as they are up 6-0. Hopel inbounding to Montgomery, who passes to Oster, to Hopel, to Hudson, to Montgomery. As Miles Montgomery passes to Cameron Lewis, who didn't quite have the strength on that jumper. As Brendan Dieters with the ball, taking the ball up court for the Trojans. Being defended by Oster as he passes. Trojans trying to get around that Knights defense, as Cameron Lewis with the rebound. Lewis has been getting a lot of rebounds for the Knights throughout the season lately. Hudson, who passes to Ben Oster, who passes to Miles Montgomery. Knights trying to get around the aggressive Trojans defense, as Hopel attempted a three-pointer but didn't quite have the accuracy. As Trojans take the ball up court, and Trojans with a lot of passing so far in this game and playing an aggressive defense against the Knights.
first, team foul number 2. At the line for the Trojans, number
As
24.
Anthony Hopel fouls Jim King, who will be going to the line shooting some free throws. First free throw attempts of the game, and makes it.
Jim King, a big offensive player for the Trojans at 6'6". He can be a force on this basketball court. He leads in points for the Trojans, 329 on the season. He also leads in rebounds, 7.8 rebounds per game, and also leads in blocks. If the Knights are going to be focusing on one player defensively, they need to be looking at Jim King. He is going to make the biggest difference here for the Trojans tonight.
And Cameron Lewis with a strong steal, but looks like we have a foul. And the Trojans will get the ball back, but a great defensive effort from Cameron Lewis and Nolan Hudson. Knights trying to play an aggressive defense just like the Trojans were. Which if they can play a really aggressive defense, then they could possibly pull off a victory against this Trojans basketball team. As Cameron Lewis with another steal, that's his third steal of the game. And a great effort, but didn't have all of it. As Miles Montgomery passes to Lewis, who almost another great effort, but wasn't quite able to finish with the layup.
Foul number 0, Miles Montgomery. His first, team foul number 3.
Very aggressive game from the Knights, but they aren't quite able to get that ball into the hoop. As Brendan Dieter's taking the ball of court as he passes to Tyson Ludwig, excuse me. As Brendan Dieters puts up a jumper, already with a 10-point lead. Miles Montgomery to take the basketball up court. As he passes to Cameron Lewis, who passes to Ben Oster. A strong pass there from Lewis. Passing to Anthony Hopple with the jumper and gets it in for the first point. The first 2 points of the game for the Knights from the leading scorer, Anthony Hopple.
And a big game here for the Knights, Parker. A GAC South Conference matchup once again. FHN currently sits in 6th place in the GAC South. Troy Trojans are at 5th. The FHN is 1-7 in the GAC. They will be looking to improve that record tonight, hopefully with a victory.
And Miles Montgomery finishing with a strong layup, decreasing the lead to 6. And a great effort, but as Jim King using his height to his advantage at 6'6" with the rebound, making the score 12-4 as the Trojans try to intercept it, but it's passed to Ben Oster, who attempts a three but doesn't have all of it. Trojans taking a strong pass, and Jim King again using that height to his advantage, finishing with a layup. As Coach Daryl Davis calls a timeout to discuss some stuff with the Knights.
And not only does King have that great height, Parker, the Trojans in general have really been able to use their height for their advantage, as they have 7 players who are over 6 foot, 3 players who are currently 6'3", as well as Jim King, who is up there with 6'6", and they've really been able to have a lot of success defensively and able to recover a lot of the rebounds, really box out the Knights sometimes when they're going out for their shooting attempts, which has led them to go up here by 10 points in 2 minutes and 14 seconds left in the first quarter.
That's right, Emily. The Trojans have really been able to play some aggressive defense. The Knights are really going to have to develop some teamwork and communication, getting that ball around defensive players and finding open shots if they want to beat this tough Trojans team. As Montgomery passes to, Nolan Hudson's pass is intercepted and taken over by the Trojans. As great defensive effort by Anthony Hopple, as Braden Nett. Oh, excuse me, it's Jim King fouled on the rebound. Jim King going to the line again, shooting some free throws. as he makes his first attempt, giving the Trojans an 11-point lead. Strong start for the Trojans already. As Jim King with his second attempt and just gets it in. As Miles Montgomery will be taking the ball up court, looking to give the Knights some offense.
Miles Montgomery, a great offensive player, averages 16.1 points per game, a huge difference, as you can see in the hustle he has given for this team. Jim King once again with a big layup.
So far there's been some miscommunication from the Knights, but some great communication from Troy. The Knights are going to really have to learn how to get that ball past those other defensive players and keeping the other guys from getting past them and scoring. Oh, as Hobble almost gets the rebound, but just loses as Jim King again finishing off with the basket. And Miles Montgomery passing to Anthony Hobble, who's looking to get around the Trojans as a great shot attempt, but didn't have the accuracy.
Hopple really trying to use his height to his advantage. 6'2" has given him a lot of success, having a great rebound and also scoring percentage, 341 points on the season. 45 seconds left in the first quarter.
Tyson Ludwig with a three-point attempt is no good, and Miles Montgomery getting that rebound to Anthony Hopple, who is fouled on the layup attempt and will go to the line and shoot 2 free throws.
Hopple really doing a good job there of driving to basket. He's able to draw that foul out of the Troy Trojans.
That's something Hopple's been really good at. He's been a huge offensive factor in general for the Knights, as he just misses his first attempt. As Cameron Lewis takes over for Ben Oster. So Emily, with the first quarter almost ending, what do the Knights need to improve on in order to catch up with the Trojans?
Well, Parker, I think the Knights need to begin to get creative offensively, trying to push some balls down deep in the paint towards the basket. You can't always have a ton of success here with the Trojans just simply because of their height. They're very good at boxing out the Knights offense. I think also if they're able to get some three-pointers, possibly from Anthony Hopple or Miles Montgomery, or be able to move the ball around the court so that they can get some open players and hopefully counteract players like Jim King with their height, they could definitely bring some success with 5 seconds left in the first quarter.
Jim King, who is fouled and will go to the line and shoot 2 free throws, trying to increase their lead from 15 points to 16 or 17. As King just misses his first free throw. Kyle Foster taking over for Anthony Hopple. Jim King makes his second attempt, making the score 21-5. As Sterling Jones who passes to Montgomery, who is guarded by Griffin St. Pierre, but gets past him, and as the pass was intercepted, and that'll do it for the first quarter.
So Parker, what were some things you noticed that the Trojans were doing really well offensively?
Well, they got very creative, and like we've been saying a lot, they have a lot of height on their team, and they've been able to use that height to their advantage to draw fouls and score inside the paint and even make offensive rebounds. So the Knights are going to have to find ways around that height and be able to create turnovers and get past the defenders and to get that ball through the hoop if they want to catch up with the Trojans.
Absolutely, Parker, and even I think the Knights, not only can they get creative, they can be right in this game. It's only the first quarter, and already it's seeming like this gym is a little bit quiet. The Knights already having some disappointing looks on their faces, and if they were able to just take some time to regroup and hopefully feed players like Miles Montgomery, Clinton Ocalasongo and Anthony Hopel, they would be able to get right back in this game. They have plenty of game left to play here, 3 more quarters. They have lots of potential here tonight.
Miles Montgomery passing to Kyle Foster as the Knights looking to get around that aggressive Trojans defense. And Sterling Jones passing to Kyle Foster, who passes to Nolan Hudson, who passes to Miles Montgomery, trying to find some open shots. But the Trojans, again, with that aggressive defense, that's been another thing that the Trojans have really done well in the first quarter. They have that strong defense. The Knights haven't been able to score a lot. As Miles Montgomery attempts a long 3 and almost has it, but it's rebounded by Sterling Jones, who finishes with a layup. A great rebound and finish by Sterling Jones as the score is now 21-7. Still a lot of work for the Knights to do, but if they can really develop some strong communication and teamwork, they could possibly catch up and make a comeback. Who has Cameron Lewis with the interception. He's been really strong on defense for the Knights throughout this season, as he passes to Sterling Jones, who is, again, that aggressive defense from the Trojans as he tried to pass to Lewis, but as King, as Jim King is fouled again and will go to the line and shoot 2 free throws. And that's one of the advantages to having tall players. They get fouled easily, and when you get them inside the paint trying to score, they can really get some free throw attempts as Jim King hits his first free throw attempt, making the score 22-7.
Jim King making a big difference from the free throw line, has visited the line quite a bit here, drawed quite a few fouls here in this match, sure to help his offensive presence not only in regular game play but also from the line as well.
Montgomery with the ball, trying to get around that aggressive defense, as I've been mentioning. He passes to Josh Daugherty, who attempts the 3-pointer but didn't have all of it, but it's rebounded by Sterling Jones. Jones looking to get around as he passes to Kyle Foster, passing to Miles Montgomery, looking for the open man, passing to Cameron Lewis, who attempts the jumper but doesn't have all of it. But he gets the ball back. Great effort by Lewis as the Trojans draw a foul. Miles Montgomery passing to Sterling Jones, back to Montgomery, who attempts a 3 and almost has it. A close shot but the Knights managed to get the ball back. They've been showing, as Miles Montgomery is fouled and scores, and will be going to the free throw line and trying to make a 3-point play. The Knights have been playing some good defense coming into this quarter. They've really as Montgomery makes his free throw attempt, creating a 3-point play for the Knights, making the score 23-10. Emily, coming into the second quarter, how have things been different this quarter for the Knights since the first quarter?
Well, I think the Knights are starting to get a little more comfortable offensively, Parker. You saw there with that 3-point play from Miles Montgomery. He was doing a good job there, really pushing that Troy defense, as great as it is, and really trying to make some offensive opportunities here for himself. Of course, a great defense here from Troy, but nothing that the Knights can't work to overcome.
The Trojans trying to get around the Knights defense, and do, as Brandon Nett finishing with the basket, the layup. And Miles Montgomery takes the ball up court, passes to Sterling Jones. Jones trying to get around the defense and creating an open shot, or finding the open man. Attempts the jumper and hits it. The Knights now down by 13. As Brendan Dieters taking the ball up court. And the Trojans, as the pass is intercepted and turned over by Miles Montgomery with some great skills and a great attempt, but the ball is last touched by the Trojans, so the Knights will get the ball back and look to score and decrease the lead. As you said earlier, Emily, the Knights have certainly gotten more comfortable on offense and defense. They've been able to make some great passes and keep the ball in their possession when they don't score.
The Knights even have been able, Parker, to draw a few more fouls. Each team almost matched up here at fouls, with the Knights having 6, Trojans at 5. Looking a little bit more confident in their abilities of being able to play some great basketball here tonight.
And Jones with a great effort and finishes with the post up. Even despite all the struggles, the Knights have still been able to create some exciting plays with players such as Cameron Lewis and Miles Montgomery, who have been able to keep the ball in their possession. As we've seen, Cameron Lewis, he's been able to get at least 3 turnovers in this game so far and has made a lot of rebounds and has been really good at keeping the ball in the possession of the Knights. As Griffin St. Pierre will be headed to the free throw line to attempt some free throws, looking to increase that 25-point lead to 26 or 27. Excuse me, 11-point lead. As he hits the first free throw. As the Trojans now are back to a 13-point lead. Anthony Hobble with the ball, taking the ball up court, looking to get some offense with the Knights. Passing to Sterling Jones. And attempts a long jumper and hits it. Making the Knights down by just 11. Even though the Knights are down by 11, there's still enough time for them to make a strong comeback. Miles Montgomery.
With 3 minutes and 24 seconds left in the second quarter, the Knights will be looking to regain some momentum, have a little bit of a fresh start here on this game. Their last game was on February 12th against Fort Zumwalt West, where they lost 76-51. They are looking to come back, haven't won a game since February 1st, but still have plenty of time, plenty of effort there to turn this game and the season to end on a good note.
As the Trojans draw a foul, and the Knights will be, Sterling Jones of the Knights will be inbounded. And the Trojans making some substitutions. The Knights are currently down by 13, looking to decrease that lead as Jones passes to Montgomery with a great shot attempt and a great tip-in by Sterling Jones after the missed jumper by Miles Montgomery, making it just an 11-point lead. The Trojans are looking to increase that lead while the Knights are trying to prevent that lead from going up. As Chase Bassam with a great layup to finish, as timeout is called by Coach Darrell Davis, as the coaches will talk over and discuss what they need to improve.
And the basketball band here, Parker, trying to get some life and some energy back into this gym as the Knights trail 31-18. Parker, who do you think are going to be the key players for the Knights to help them get back into this game and hopefully carry some momentum into the second half?
On defense and even offense, I'd say Cameron Lewis. He has a lot of great speed and jumping ability, and he's been able to create turnovers and make rebounds. And I'd also say Sterling Jones, Miles Montgomery, and Anthony Hopple, because they've been able to produce some offense and even defense, and have shown a lot of skill and communication and teamwork. And if those players can step up, then the Knights could possibly catch up with the Trojans. Miles Montgomery with the skill as he passes to Cameron Lewis, who attempts the jumper but didn't quite have the accuracy, as the Trojans get the ball back and take the ball up court. And another long pass, and Jim King, who is there, and Chase Basson with the recovery, finishing it for the Trojans, making the score 33-18, a 25-point lead, 15-point lead, excuse me.
Short began foul number 5, Chase Basson. His first, team foul number 7. At the line for the Knights, number 11, Anthony Hobel.
Anthony Hobel, who leads the team on offense, getting ready to shoot 2 free throws. 1 free throw, excuse me, misses first attempt, but was able to recover as the Knights still stay in possession with the ball. Miles Montgomery trying to get around that aggressive Trojans defense, passing to Sterling Jones. That's another thing the Knights need to work on if they want to win this game, getting around that defense, because the Trojans have a very tough, aggressive defense, especially with all these tall players they have. They're going to need to find ways to work around and find an open guy, and to be able to find ways to get past the defense and to get that ball through the hoop. As the Trojans attempted a jump shot, and it's rebounded by Chase Basson, who's been having a great game so far for the Trojans. And Jim King again using that 6'6" height to his advantage and making a rebound and score, as the Knights will regain possession, looking to drive some offense and decrease that lead from 17 points. Sterling Jones with the ball. Thought about passing to Cameron Lewis, but passes to Anthony Hopple, who, as the ball is rebounded by Lewis but fouled. And Cameron Lewis will go to the line and shoot some free throws.
Short began foul number 3, Brendan Dieters.
Cameron Lewis having an impressive vertical, which helps him to lead the team in rebounds. He has 145 rebounds on the season, averages 6.6 rebounds per game, and with his vertical, he's even able to challenge players like King, who are 6'6", when he might not have as large or as tall of a frame.
That's right, Emily. Cameron Lewis has been able to play a great season, especially with rebounding. He's also been able to create turnovers in this game, like I've said earlier. And he's got great speed, so he's able to catch up on defense. He's definitely been a key player to this Knights team, as he makes both free throws, and the Trojans will be getting the ball back, trying to increase their 15-point lead.
.52 seconds now left in the second quarter.
Brendan Dieters with the ball. Kyle Foster now guarding Griffin St. Pierre, who passes back to Basson. Dieters, excuse me. Trojans trying to find an open man or an open shot and to increase that 15-point lead. Montgomery guarding Dieters, as Dieters using his ball handling skills to his advantage. Passes to St. Pierre, who passes to Basson, who finishes up with a layup. Chase Basson, who has been playing a strong game for the Trojans. He's been scoring a lot, and he's another tall player on the Trojans and has been able to use that height to his advantage. And Sterling Jones with the ball, trying to get it around that defense, using his dribbling skills to his advantage, and puts it in, as that will do it for the first half of the Knights against the Trojans.
And thank you all for tuning in. We will now head to halftime. We will be back here at 7:57 if you would like to tune into this game. Once again, thank you all for joining us at FHNtoday.com/live. My name is Emily Hood, joined by my co-announcer, Parker Killian. And welcome back here on FHNtoday.com/live. We have 13 seconds left in halftime as the Knights prepare to kick off this second half against the Troy Trojans. They currently trail the Knights 37-22, a little bit uneasy there in the first half, and they will prepare here to get started on the second. Parker, what were some positive things you noticed from both teams that they were doing well offensively?
Well, they both persevered, and they both did a spectacular job of keeping the ball in their possession. Like when it seemed like they were about to lose possession, they managed to regain control of that ball and kept the other players from stealing it. And yeah, they were able to keep possession and even eventually score. And if either teams can keep doing that, then that'll be a huge factor to whichever team wins. As Sterling Jones just turns over the ball and passes to Clinton, as Clinton Okalasango scores, and his foul will go to the line. And shoot some free throws. And some substitutions from the Trojans. As Okalasango makes his free throw attempt and gets a three-point play for the Knights, which the Knights are going to need some of those if they want to catch up with the Trojans, as they are now down by 12. And a pass to a wide-open Brendan Dieters, who passes to his teammate, and back to Dieters, who attempts the three and doesn't quite have all of it. As Griffin St. Pierre is fouled and will go to the line and shoot 2 free throws from Okalasango. As St. Pierre too strong on his first shot attempt.
Sophomore Griffin St. Pierre, one of the stars of this Troy team. This Troy team being very young as well. They only have 2 seniors on this team in Chase Bassam and Jim King. The rest of them either juniors or sophomores. So this Troy team has a very bright future, lots of potential ahead of them to become a really strong team offensively.
That's one of the advantages that Troy has against North, because Franstown North, on the other hand, they have a lot of old players they have no underclassmen this season. They have all upperclassmen, especially juniors. Next year they'll have a lot of seniors, and there'll be a lot of leadership roles taken. As the Trojans on offense, with a wide open Tyson Ludwig, who passes to his teammate, who is fouled on the shot attempt.
Although foul, number 32, Clinton Okalasango, his second, team foul number 2.
And Jim King, who has been a huge key factor to the Trojans defensively and offensively, will be attempting free throws and makes his first attempt. And makes his second attempt, giving the Trojans a 13-point lead. Emily, even though the first half's just started, coming into the second half, how have things been different from the first half?
Well, Parker, I think the Trojans have been doing a good job of sticking to their defensive plan. They've done a good job of drawing some fouls here from the Knights. I think the Knights are still looking to get a little bit back in their grooves, coming off onto the second half a little bit slower than they were in the first half, but as we saw towards the end of the second half, if they're able to take some time to kind of warm up, get a little bit ready, they will be able to hopefully close some of this deficit here, as they currently trail by 11.
One person who's been a huge key factor for the Knights has been Cameron Lewis, as we just saw him recently hit a jumper, and he even got one early in the game, in which eventually the Trojans came down and scored. And as the Knights get the ball back, and Sterling Jones inbounding to Miles Montgomery, who takes the ball off court and is looking to bring some offense with the Knights. Trying to get open, and as he passes to his fellow captain, Anthony Hopple, who finishes with a three-pointer. And the Knights are only down by 8 with plenty of time left to go. As Sterling Jones with the steal and the speed as he finishes with a strong layup. As the Knights are now just down by 6. Great communication and perseverance and effort from the Knights to decrease the lead to just 6 points, in which they're down by at least 20 earlier.
And then great effort there, like you said, Parker, especially from players like Miles Montgomery, Sterling Jones. You can really see the hustle they're putting into this game to make some big plays offensively and defensively.
Jim King again with a layup. And the lead is now back to 8, with the score being 42-34 Trojans. Miles Montgomery, who, as we have said, has been playing a really strong game, is fouled and will be inbounding for the Knights. Passing to Clinton Ocalasango, who almost, but it's rebounded by Montgomery, and as he finishes with a strong layup. Making it back to a 6-point lead. The Trojans trying to increase that lead and keep the Knights from catching up. Jim King with the ball. Passing to Tyson Ludwig, who passes all the way to Griffin St. Pierre, who passes to Brandon Nett. As the ball is turned over by Cameron Lewis, passing to Miles Montgomery, who keeps control of the ball, passing Anthony, who also keeps control of the ball. The Knights are really starting to show some strong teamwork and communication in this game, which, if they want to catch up and make a comeback against the Trojans, they're going to need to keep that teamwork and communication. And another foul, and looks like Miles Montgomery sort of twisted his ankle on that foul.
Team foul number 4. And for the Trojans, number 5, Chase Bassam.
Montgomery there limping off the bench, seems to be clutching his ankle a little bit as the trainer heads over his way.
And Nolan Hudson will be taking over
And for the Knights,
for Miles Montgomery. As Cameron Lewis on the inbound, passing to Anthony Hopple, who is fouled.
Trojans get a foul. Number 5, Chase Bassam. His second. Team foul number 5.
And Cameron Lewis again with the inbound. As he passes to Hopple, who is double teamed in, but is able to get through the defense and drive it in for a nice layup. As the lead is only down to 4. Emily, so now that we're farther into the second half, how have the Knights improved this half from the first half?
Well, Parker, the Knights have really gotten things going offensively. They've been able to score some great baskets. They're getting Anthony Hopel involved. And before this play today, they were doing pretty well defensively. Hadn't gotten quite a few fouls, a little bit of a misstep here tonight for a potential 4-point play for the Trojans. Definitely not what the Knights wanted, but thankfully they are able to save that one to just 3 with a rebound from Anthony Hopel.
As we just saw, Griffin St. Pierre, who was fouled on a 3-point attempt, but still got it in, but wasn't quite able to create the 4-point play, which is very fortunate for the Knights. As Anthony Hopple tried to get the jumper, but it's rebounded by Sterling Jones with the pass to Nolan Hudson to Cameron Lewis, also on the jumper. And we have a foul and the Trojans will be getting the ball back.
Foul number 11, Anthony Hopel. His third, team foul number 4.
As Chase Bassam inbounding to Brendan Dieters, who have been two key players for the Trojans and are trying to bring some offense. Brendan Dieters with the passing to Tyson Ludwig. Back to Dieters to Griffin St. Pierre, who loses control as the ball goes out of bounds, and the Knights will regain possession as they are down by 7, looking to decrease that lead. Jones with the pass to Hudson, to Lewis. Back to Hudson, to Jones. Sterling Jones with a jumper as he almost gets it, but didn't have all of the accuracy. As the Trojans now take over with the ball, trying to increase that 7-point lead. A lot of passing from the Trojans. And a wide open three-point attempt from Brandon Dieters, but didn't quite have the accuracy, and a strong jump from Sterling Jones, but wasn't able to have all of the ball for a rebound.
On-court foul, number 32, Ocalasango, his fourth.
Ocalasango on the foul, and Griffin St. Pierre with the inbound. And the pass to Jim King, who passes to Brendan Dieters. Back to King with a strong move, but a little too strong on the shot as Sterling Jones gets the ball back and is looking to find an open shot or find the open man, trying to get around Tyson Ludwig, who is playing an aggressive defense as he passes to Nolan Hudson, who passes to Cameron Lewis, who's been having a really strong game for the Knights. Back to Hudson, to Anthony Hoppel, showing some great dribbling moves to Cameron Lewis, to Sterling Jones. Trojans with that aggressive defense, which lately in this half the Knights have been able to work around that. Defense as Anthony Hoppel's shot is blocked, and it's 2-on-1. Tyson Ludwig, who is fouled on the layup attempt. The Knights not happy with the call.
Looks like Hobel there was looking for a call in his favor there after that blocked shot. Couldn't quite get one that way, but a great hustle there from Tyson Ludwig. He will head to the free throw line. We have a minute 21 left in the third quarter as Tyson Ludwig sinks his first shot.
Despite not being as tall as most of the other guys on the court, Tyson Ludwig has still been able to really help the Trojans offensively, showing a lot of great ball handling skills and getting open and finding the right guy. As Anthony Hoppel passes to a wide open Nolan Hudson for three, but he overshoots it as Hoppel saved it, but it was turned over by the Trojans as the Trojans trying to find an open shot. As Tyson Ludwig tried to save that, but steps out of bounds, and as Miles Montgomery, who twisted his ankle earlier, comes back into the game, which should really benefit the Knights on offense, as good as Montgomery's been playing. And Sterling Jones on the inbound with 55 seconds left to go. Miles Montgomery, who still seems to have a little bit of pain in that ankle, but won't be giving up as Sterling Jones turns it over. Excuse me, that was a foul on Cameron Lewis. As Troy gets the ball back as Chase Bassam inbounding to Brandon Dieters. Brandon Dieters to take the ball up court and looking to increase that 9-point lead and make it higher. .30 seconds left in the third quarter. Tyson Ludwig passing to Brendan Dieters, who passes to Jim King. using that height to his advantage, but just got the rebound, but and a foul on Jim King, as he will go to the line and shoot 2 free throws, trying to give the Trojans a 10 or 11 point lead. And makes his first attempt. Troy with a 10-point lead.
And Parker, Jim King, of course, like we've said all night, been a big offensive presence here on the court. With his, not only his free throw ability, he's visited the free throw line several times tonight, just all around a great player for the Trojans, leads in a whole bunch of stats for the Trojans, and it's really, the Knights have had a hard time shutting him down tonight.
Kyle Foster with a wide open 3-pointer, almost has it, but just bounced off the rim, and that'll do it for the third quarter. So Emily, in the third quarter, how is this quarter different? How has this half been different from the first half?
Well, Parker, I think this half has had a lot of changes throughout the play. I think the Knights were starting to get a little bit in their zone, play some good basketball there about halfway through the third quarter, but then right around the time Miles Montgomery kind of stepped off the court, they started to seem a little bit more uneasy, struggled to really get around the Trojans' defense. I think the story of tonight's game is not only going to be the Trojans' offense, but primarily their defense and their ability to shut down the Knights' offense within the paint, forcing them to take some three-point shots and try to have some success from the three-point ring.
One thing you mentioned earlier is Miles Montgomery, when he had to step out with that bad ankle. That you could tell that made a difference against the Knights, because the Knights weren't able to score as much as they were with him, which tells you how much of a key player Miles Montgomery is with the Knights. As right now he is on the bench and will be looking to rest that ankle up. As Cameron Lewis inbounds to Sterling Jones to start off the fourth quarter. The Knights down by 10. Cameron Lewis with pass to Kyle Foster to Sterling Jones to Clinton Okalsango. And Cameron Lewis back to Okalsango. Trying to get past that aggressive Troy's defense as the ball is knocked out of bounds into the student section. And the Knights will keep possession. From Foster to Jones. Back to Foster. Back to Jones. To Cameron Lewis to Anthony Hopple. Trying to get around those guys as the ball is passed and it's out of bounds, and the Knights will keep possession. Another thing the Knights will need in order to win this game is three-pointers. They haven't had too many three-pointers made in this game yet so far, which neither teams in general have. It's been a struggle from both teams. And Okalsango finishing with a layup as he is fouled and will go to the line and will be trying to make a three-point play for the Knights, which the Knights could really use at this time. But is unable to capitalize. Tyson Ludwig back to his teammate as Jim King again with that height as he drives into the basket, bringing the lead back to 10 as Sterling Jones takes the balls up court and passed it to Hopple and then back to Hopple. He passes all the way to Sterling Jones, who gives it to Kyle Foster, trying to get open and find that perfect shooting opportunity or finding that open guy. Okalsango with a strong shot, a little too strong there, didn't quite have the accuracy. As the Trojans recover, giving Tyson Ludwig a wide open three-point attempt, but didn't have all of it, and Sterling Jones with the rebound and the pass to Cameron Lewis, who holds on to it. As Davis was able to call a timeout and save the Knights.
So Parker, what do you think? The Knights trail by 10 here, 6 minutes, 21 seconds left right after that timeout called by Coach Davis. What do you think is important for the Knights to be able to refocus and try and bring this game back here for a late comeback?
I'd say offensive and defensive communication will be a huge thing, especially teamwork, because Troy's been playing a really aggressive defense throughout this game, and the Knights, they've been having trouble getting an open guy and finding those open shots due to the aggressiveness of Troy's defense. And the Knights will, so far their defense has really been stepping up and keeping a lot of shots from going in, but they're going to need to really get better on their coverage if they want to win this game. As Anthony Hopple hitting a three-pointer, which was the first three-pointer in a while that the Knights had gotten. As Troy looking to get around FHN's defense as they hit a three. That was Griffin St. Pierre, the sophomore, with the three-pointer. As Okalasango hitting a three. Bringing the score down to 7 points. And another wide open three-pointer, and as Griffin St. Pierre hitting a three. Both teams with back-to-back threes. Okalasango again with the three, almost had it, but it just bounces across the rim and gets out. As strong defense from Sterling Jones and Quinn Okalasango, but fouled. I was mentioning earlier, neither teams had really been shooting much threes, but both of them just got back-to-back three-pointers.
An excellent run there, Parker. As you said, both teams really trying to gain some energy offensively. 5 minutes, 14 seconds left here in the fourth quarter.
And Tyson Ludwig, the junior, will be going up to the free throw line, trying to increase the 10-point lead. But misses his first attempt. So Emily, going into this fourth quarter, how have things been different from the first half and third quarter?
Well, Parker, I think that the Knights have really tried to get some offense going. You've seen some great glimmers from some of the three-point attempts from Anthony Hopel and Clinton Okalasango, and they've had some great success there from the three-point line. They've been really trying to switch up their pace, trying to push quickly past the Trojans' defense, just like Anthony Hopel did right there, and be able to catch them off guard when they aren't quite set yet, try and weave around, get creative with some of their shooting options to try and break through and recover this lead.
As Tyson Ludwig overpasses and throws the ball out of bounds, the Knights will regain the possession. Like you said, the Knights are going to have to get creative with passing the ball, like as we just saw Anthony Hopple with that great jumper. And they're also going to have to keep from forcing turnovers, as they just did to Brandon Dieters earlier, who was able to make the steal and score. As Tyson Ludwig taking the ball down court, passing to Brandon Dieters, who passes to Chase Baham and to Tyson Ludwig, to Dieters, being guarded to Ludwig. Knights playing a strong defense as Jim King is there and almost gets the shot, but didn't have all of the accuracy. As Cameron Lewis passing to his fellow teammate Sterling Jones, who passes to Ben Oster, who attempts the three and almost has it, but just rolled across the rim. And Jim King using that height to his advantage, getting the rebound, who passed to St. Pierre, who passes to Ludwig, trying to get around Ben Oster, as well as pass to Dieters. Ben Oster playing a strong defense and a wide open three-pointer, which is good from Griffin St. Pierre, giving the Trojans a 14-point lead against the Knights.
And a timeout now called by FHN. 3 minutes, 20 seconds left in the fourth period. Parker, how do you think, and what are some things that the Trojans have done well to really dominate offensively this whole game, holding a strong lead throughout a majority of this match.
Well, they've been playing a fantastic defense, and they've been even been able to maintain turnovers and communicate well on offense, and they've been able to get past Francistown North's defense that way. Francistown North's going to have to be able to figure out which guys to cover and get creative on offense and communicate and get past the defense and put that ball into the hoop and find ways to decrease that lead Troy has against them. As Kyle Foster will be inbounding, and the Knights will be looking to decrease that 14-point lead as the Troy Trojans lead 62-48. That's pass to Sterling Jones, who was defended by Tyson Ludwig. Sterling Jones trying to bring some offense for the team. And Anthony Hopp, along with Anthony Havel, who passed to Kyle Foster, to Sterling Jones. Jones with the great dribbling skills. Double teamed, passing to Kyle Foster. Foster with the ball, passing to Ben Oster. As the ball is turned over, and a breakaway from Brandon Dieters, who finishes with the layup. Who even got the ball back and is fouled on the layup attempt and will now be going back to shoot 2 free throws. Phenomenal play there by Brendan Dieters. He makes his first free throw attempt.
Brendan Dieters, a sophomore, another big part of the Trojans basketball team. He is second in points for the Trojans, 10.4 points per game. He also leads the team in steals after that steal you saw there to get the Trojans not only that layup but also the foul as well.
Jim King with the rebound to Tyson Ludwig, who takes the ball up court, trying to bring some offense to the Troy Trojans as the Francistown North Knights trying to deny the Trojans as a foul is drawn. And Brendan Dieters, who has been playing a really strong game for the Knights, is once again going to the line, trying to increase that lead and keep the Knights from catching up with 2 minutes and 26 seconds left to go. Makes his first attempt. Looking to make his second and make it a 20-point lead. And does. As Sterling Jones passes to Anthony Hoppel, who leads the Knights on offense. Back to Sterling Jones to fellow teammate Ben Oster. To Kyle Foster to Cameron Lewis, who has also been a huge key part of the Knights, and overpasses it well into the stands. It looked like an incomplete pass in football, but the Troy Trojans will be getting the ball back.
Bit of a wild pass there, like you said, Parker. Troy will now regain possession, really having just a dominant performance in tonight's game, securing their 5th place position in the GAC South.
And a strong pass to Griffin St. Pierre, who passes back to Dieters. As Dieters gets fouled. And Dieters, who has been shooting quite a few free throws and has been shooting well, goes to the line again and makes his first attempt. The Trojans are now up by 21 points, 69-48, with 1 minute and 54 left to go. Knights taking the ball up court, trying to keep time from running out so they can have time to catch up. And Hopper with a long jumper and gets it in. But there's still but the Knights are still going to have to play a lot of basketball if they want to make a comeback. Dieters again with the ball in that aggressive defense. Troy with some great communication just trying to get past that Francetown North Knights defense.
And Parker, the Trojans have been able to turn around their current game. Based on their last game, they fell again to Fort Zumwalt West, 75-71, a really close game here. So they have been working hard to make up for that loss on the 8th.
Brendan Dieters, who has been shooting quite a few free throws and has been getting quite a lot of action in this game, goes to the line once again and drains his first attempt, bringing the lead back to 20. The Trojans have really been able to pull away. And one of the biggest disadvantages for the Knights has been losing Miles Montgomery to the ankle injury. They've still been able to persevere throughout the game and not give up.
And Parker, ankle injury has been a problem for both of the Knights teams tonight after the girls basketball game lost Gabby Delarue to an ankle injury as well. Thankfully, she was able to come back after a brief time taking some rest.
That can be one of the biggest struggles in basketball and for sports in general, having injuries on good players and even good players just missing. As we were talking about the last game, Gabby Delarue's sister, Isabel Delarue, wasn't able to play, and she's been a huge key factor for the Knights this season, but her not being there affected the Knights. As Chase Bassam, who will be at the line to shoot 2 free throws. Misses his first attempt. But makes the second, a 22-point lead for the Troy Trojans against FHN. Josh Doherty, who is in the game for the Knights now. And Kyle Foster with the 3-point attempt, a great shot, but didn't have all of the accuracy, and aggressive defense from the Knights. And a wide open pass as Hoppel almost making the steal. Troy trying to prevent some turnovers from happening. With 18 seconds left. A lot of passing from Troy.
Troy just looking to wind down the clock here. 10 seconds left on the clock. And that will be Griffin St. Pierre. He will just keep a hold of that ball until time runs out. Knights falling to the Trojans 50-72. Parker, what do you think were some things that the Trojans did that handed them this win tonight?
Well, they had a lot of height on their team, where almost all of their players were above 6 feet, where a lot of our players are also above 6 foot, but not as tall as Troy's players, and they were able to use that height to their advantage, which can be a huge advantage in basketball. We saw players such as Jim King who were able to make rebounds and score inside the paint, and this big disadvantage to the Knights was they started finding that offensive rhythm, but after losing Miles Montgomery, that really affected the Knights, and Troy just managed to pull away from them after that.
Absolutely, Parker, and thank you all so much for joining us for tonight's doubleheader here on FHNtoday.com/live. My name is Emily Hood, here with Parker Killen, and I hope you all have a great night.